Section 8-3, Multiplying Binomials. So as you have learned previously, a binomial is any polynomial with two terms. So 1, 2. And there are a couple ways you can do this. The first is called FOIL, which I hope you've learned about before. And what that stands for is first, outer, inner, last. So you're going to multiply the first term of each one, the outer terms of each one, the inner terms, and then the last terms. So what you end up with is x times 2x, so that's 2x squared, and then x times negative 5, so that's minus 5x, inner, so 3 times 2x, that's 6x, and last, so that's 3 times negative 5, that's negative 15. And then what you're going to want to do is combine like terms. So you have negative 5x and 6x. Okay, you can only combine them if they have the same letter and the same exponent. And so what you end up with is 2x squared plus x minus 15. So the other way you can do this, I like to call it the box method. So you have a box like this, and you put your first binomial on top, x plus 3, and your second one on the side, so 2x minus 5. And I like doing it this way because it guarantees that you don't miss anything. You don't forget to multiply any two terms. So you just fill in all the boxes. So in this first box, you multiply the one above and the one to the side of it. So that's x times 2x, that's 2x squared. In the second box, you multiply the one above it and the one to the side, so that's 3 times 2x, that's 6x. And in the third box, you multiply the term above it and the term on the side, so that's negative 5x. And then in the last box, you multiply the term above it, which is 3, and the term to the side, which is negative 5, so it's negative 15. And once again, you combine like terms, so 6x minus 5x, which is just 1x, so you end up with the same answer, 2x squared plus x minus 15. Okay, so this is your final answer. So for number 4, we actually have one binomial, 1, 2, and one trinomial, which has 3 terms, 1, 2, 3. So when doing a trinomial, I like to use the box because once again, it ensures that you don't miss anything. You can't really use FOIL with this because you don't just have first, outer, inner, last, you also have a middle term, and that kind of makes it tricky. So what I'm going to do is put x plus 6 on the side, and then x squared minus 4x plus 3 on top. Okay, and so in the first box, we're going to multiply x squared times x, which is x to the third. And in the second box, we're going to multiply negative 4x times x, which is negative 4x squared. And in this third box, we are going to multiply 3 times x, so that's 3x. And in this bottommost left box, we're going to multiply x squared times 6, so that's 6x squared. And then in this middle bottom box, we're going to multiply negative 4x times 6, so that's negative 24x. Oops. And in this last box, we are going to multiply 3 times 6, so that's 18. So the reason I color-coded this is because you can see that these are like terms. So the yellow, you have x squared and x squared, and the green, you have x and x. So you can combine that. So we're going to start off with the first box, which is x to the third. And then we're going to put in the yellow terms. So 6x squared minus 4x squared, that is 2x squared. Then we have negative 24x, this one, plus 3x, the green ones, and that is negative 21x. And then finally we have the blue box, which is plus 18. And this is your final answer. Okay, so once again we have a binomial and a trinomial, so I'm going to use the box again. So we're going to have 3 on the top, 2 on the side. So we have x minus 2, and then we have x squared, 4x plus 4. Okay, so in the first box, we are going to multiply x squared times x, so that is x to the third. And in the second box, we are going to multiply 4x times x, so that's 4x squared. And in the last top box, we are going to multiply 4 times x, so that's 4x. And then in the bottom left box, we are going to multiply negative 2 times x squared, so that's minus 2x squared. And then in the middle bottom box, we are multiplying 4x times negative 2, that's negative 8x. And in our last box, we are multiplying 4 times negative 2, so that is negative 8. Okay, so now we are going to combine like terms and write it in order. So we're going to start with the purple box. We have x to the third. Okay, and then we're going to combine our red numbers, so that is 4x squared minus 2x squared, so that is 2x squared, because 4 minus 2 is 2. Then we're going to combine our green boxes, so that's negative 8x plus 4x, or 4x minus 8x, so that is negative 4x, and then our blue box, minus 8. And this is our final answer. Okay, so now we have 2 binomials again, so if you want to, you can do FOIL. I really like doing the box. So we have 2x plus 1, 4x plus 3. So 2x times 4x is 8x squared. 1 times 4x is 4x. 3 times 2x is 6x. And 3 times 1 is 3. So now we are going to combine like terms and write it in order. So we have 8x squared, and then 4 plus 6x is 10x, and then plus 3. And this is our final answer. Okay, number 13. So once again, we have 2 binomials, and a binomial is any polynomial with 2 terms. So we are going to do n minus 7 and n plus 4. And it really doesn't matter which one you put on the top and on the side, as long as you keep your parentheses together. So in this first box, we have n times n, that's n squared. In this second box, we have negative 7 times n, that's negative 7n. In the third box, we have n times 4, that's 4n. And in this last box, we have negative 7 times 4, that is negative 28. So what we're going to do is we're going to write it in order from biggest exponent to smallest exponent. So we're going to start off with this one, the n squared. So we're going to write n squared, and then we are going to combine our like terms. So 4n minus 7n, that's negative 3n. And then we're going to do our last box, negative 28. And this is our final answer. Okay, number 16. Once again, we have a trinomial and a binomial. So let's make our box. Okay, so on the top, we're going to write 2x squared plus 5x minus 4. And on the side, we have 2x plus 7. So in this first box, we are going to multiply 2x squared and 2x. So that is 4x to the third. In our second box, we are going to multiply 5x times 2x, and that is 10x squared. Okay, and in our third box, we are going to multiply the number on top, which is -4, and the number on the side, which is 2x, and -4 times 2 is -8, and we have an x. Okay, in our first box on the bottom, we are going to multiply this 2x squared and this 7, so 2 times 7 is 14, and then we have x squared. In this middle box, we are multiplying 5x times 7, so 5 times 7 is 35, so we have 35x. And then in this last box, we have -4 times 7, so -4 times 7 is -28. Okay, and we're going to write this in order. So we're going to start with our biggest exponent, x to the third. So we have 4x to the third. Then we're going to combine like terms. Let's combine our x squareds. So that's 14x plus 10x, and that is 24x squared. And then we're going to combine our yellows. 35x minus 8x, and that is 27x, so plus 27x. And then we have our constant, or just our regular number, -28. Okay, so this is our final answer. Okay, and one last binomial. We are going to make our box, and then we're going to say 4x minus 7, 2x minus 5. So 4x times 2x is 8x squared. -7 times 2x is -14x. -5 times 4x is -20x. And -7 times -5, remember that a negative times a negative equals a positive. So this is positive 35. So we're going to start in our top left corner, 8x squared, and then we're going to combine like terms. So -20x minus 14x. So when you have a negative minus a negative, it's the same as adding -20x plus -14x. So that is going to be -34x. And then plus 35. So this is our final answer for number 19. Okay, and we are all done with this section.